We all know that feeling, right? That knot in your stomach when you're waiting for, I don't know, a crucial email.
Oh, absolutely. Or test results.
Exactly. Or just waiting for that next shift in your career path. We crave predictability. We want some sense of certainty.
But life is, well, it's just not certain. And that craving, that need for certainty is really the central engine of anxiety.
So for our deep dive today, we're going to tackle that core issue. The anxiety that comes from really just massively overestimating our control over things.
It's a self-inflicted torment in a way.
And we're going to try and give you a powerful shortcut to managing this. We're pulling together, thousands of years of wisdom here. We're starting with the Roman Stoics people like Epictetus and Seneca.
And we're merging that with some really cutting-edge psychological frameworks, specifically acceptance and commitment therapy, or ACT.
And also insights from elite sports psychology, which is just so practical. The whole goal here is to forge a single, coherent way for you to focus only on what truly matters, your internal process.
And the foundation for all of this really starts with defining the problem. And Seneca, he just nailed it 2,000 years ago.
What did he say?
He wrote that what truly torments us is not the external events themselves, but our judgments about these things. And that realization that the problem is internal, it's our interpretation, that's the first crucial step toward any kind of mental freedom.
Okay, so if our judgment is the real source of the torment, what happens when we try to fight that judgment?
Yeah.
Or that, feeling of panic?
Modern psychology is very, very clear on this. Trying to fight discomfort almost always makes things dramatically worse.
Right.
And this is where we get a really useful concept from ACT. It's a metaphor called the struggle switch.
The struggle switch.
So everyone experiences pain in life. Loss, failure, sadness. It's inevitable. That's what we call clean discomfort.
Just the raw feeling itself.
Exactly. When the struggle switches off, you just accept that clean pain, you process it. But when the switch is on, you start to fight the feeling.
And that's where the problems begin.
That's where you create dirty discomfort. Think about it like this. You sprain your ankle. That's clean pain.
Mm-hmm.
But then you layer on shame for being clumsy, anger at the situation, maybe anxiety about your anxiety.
Or guilt about your sadness.
Yes. That secondary layer of emotional struggle and avoidance, that's the dirty discomfort. And it's a vicious cycle that just consumes a massive amount of energy.
And this chronic struggle, I imagine, is often fueled by a specific cognitive trait.
It is. It's called a high intolerance of uncertainty, or IU for short.
Intolerance of uncertainty.
Yeah, and it's basically a highly generalized fear of the unknown. People with high IU don't just dislike not knowing. They genuinely believe that if an outcome is uncertain, it must be bad.
So they see ambiguous situations as a huge threat, even if there's no real risk.
Precisely. A person with low IU facing an uncertain job outcome might think, okay, I don't know what will happen, but I can handle it either way.
Right. They accept the ambiguity and focus on what they can do next.
Yeah. Whereas the high IU person immediately starts simulating failure in their head. And that simulation leads directly to cognitive noise.
You mean rumination?
Rumination, that constant energy-sapping mental chatter.
We've all been there. Just dwelling on the past or worrying about some hypothetical future.
And it's crucial to see rumination as an avoidant action. We think we're being productive, solving the problem in our heads.
But we're really just avoiding the present moment, avoiding taking any real action.
And it absolutely kills your concentration. It's a feedback loop.
I sometimes catch myself having these totally imaginary, detailed arguments with someone in my head.
Oh, yeah.
Rehearsing for a conflict that probably will never even happen. It's like a private drama series running in the background, just eating up all my mental RAM.
It is a massive cognitive drain. And one of our sources points out something so simple but effective. Just realizing you are neither a mind reader nor a fortune teller can stop it.
That's a good point.
Yeah, why continue an exercise when you know the tools you're using? Telepathy and precognition, they just don't exist.
So if fighting our thoughts is futile, if it just creates this dirty discomfort, then how did the ancients advise us to just stop the fight?
Well, that brings us straight to the ultimate ancient tool for this. It's the Stoic principle from Epictetus, known as the dichotomy of control.
The dichotomy of control.
Right, the anchor. So what's the rule again?
The rule is absolute. Individuals have control only over their internal choices.
Their thoughts, their judgments, their actions.
Exactly. Everything else. Other people's opinions, the weather, the economy, test results, all outcomes is external. It's beyond the power of your will.
So the Stoic mandate is focus all your energy on the internal and just cease worrying about the external.
That's it.
But doesn't that sound a little defeatist? I mean, if I accept that my job performance review is out of my control, won't I stop trying so hard?
That's a very common misinterpretation, and it's so important we get this right. The dichotomy of control is not about passive submission. It's about efficient effort. Okay, efficient effort.
If you spend energy trying to control what is uncontrollable, you are just wasting your resources and guaranteeing frustration.
So the motivation comes from focusing on the controllable input. My effort, my preparation.
Precisely. You prepare meticulously because that is what's in your control, not because you think it guarantees the outcome.
I see. It requires a kind of radical acceptance of reality before you can even begin to act.
It does, and that leads to this beautiful, powerful concept of amor fati.
The love of fate.
It's the active practice of loving what happens, viewing all the challenges and uncertainties as necessary ingredients in the grand design of life.
So if I apply amor fati to a modern problem like, say, a huge career setback, a project fails, I'm not supposed to pretend I like the failure, am I?
No, not at all. You accept the reality of the failure because it has already happened. You look at it and you say, this is the material I have to work with now.
And only after that
Only after that acceptance do you look internally and ask, okay, what is my controllable response? What lesson is here? What value-guided action can I take next? It changes uncertainty from a threat into just a feature of the playing field. And if we shift 2 millennia forward, we find that the core goal of acceptance and commitment therapy, increasing what they call psychological flexibility, is really the modern continuation of that Stoic quest.
Psychological flexibility. It sounds a bit like a buzzword. How is it defined, practically?
It's the ability to contact the present moment fully, even when your internal experiences, your thoughts, your feelings are uncomfortable, and then adjust your behavior to align with your chosen values.
So it's basically acting effectively no matter how you feel.
That's a great way to put it. And ACT gives us a whole modern toolkit to do what the Stoics were trying to do. Reduce the influence of those unwanted internal experiences.
And central to that toolkit is this idea of diffusion. We have to understand the difference between being fused with our thoughts and being diffused from them.
Right. So cognitive fusion is when you treat your thoughts as literal reality, as truth, as orders you have to obey. If your mind says, I am incapable, you believe that is a fact about who you are.
You're stuck inside the story.
You are the story. But diffusion treats thoughts as just what they are. Words, sounds, stories, bits of language passing through your head.
Which is why a technique like hearing a negative thought sung to happy birthday can actually work. It sounds silly, but...
It works because the goal isn't to get rid of the thought. The goal is to reduce its influence on your behavior.
I see.
Fusion works because we take the meaning of the words so seriously. When you sing the thought or say it in a goofy voice, you break that connection. You realize this is just language. It doesn't command me. It's behavioral. It lets you act, even with the negative thoughts still there.
And that shift from being trapped in the story to just noticing it, that ties directly to another ACT concept, doesn't it? The observing self.
Yes, the self as context or the observing self. This is the transcendent aspect of you. It's the pure awareness that just observes all your experiences.
Thoughts, feelings, sensations, roles.
All of it. The key insight is that while all that stuff, the content is constantly changing, the observer itself remains constant. It's the unchanging viewer of the film.
And this is where that great analogy comes in. Your mind creates this very detailed, high-stakes documentary about Africa.
Yes. The documentary is the content, your thoughts, your feelings, your memories. But the documentary is not Africa itself.
And more importantly,
the documentary about you is not you. You are the viewer. The film might be a tragedy one day and a comedy the next, but the viewer remains unchanged, separate from the drama on screen. And that gives you distance.
that ability to get distance and direct our energy wisely is the perfect transition into action. How does sports psychology use this shift in focus?
Oh, sports psychology provides the gold standard for this. Elite performers know that focusing on outcomes just creates performance anxiety because outcomes are external and unpredictable.
So how do they manage that pressure, the pressure of the uncontrollable outcome?
They break their goals down into 3 types and they recognize where their control is. So first you have outcome goals. Winning the championship. Totally external, largely uncontrollable.
Right.
Then you have performance goals, which are better. Things like running a personal best time or shooting 80% from the free throw line. They're more about your own execution.
But the best ones, the most controllable.
Or the process goals.
Okay, give me an example of a process goal.
A runner might focus exclusively on a specific stride rhythm. A basketball player might focus only on keeping their elbow tucked during their shot. These are actions under 100% personal control.
I see.
Successful performers put all their mental energy into those process goals. They get that focusing on how to win is the only way to maximize the chances of a good outcome.
And this focus on the controllable process, it extends to how we should think about effort versus ability too.
Absolutely. The research is so clear on this. Rewarding effort, which is a controllable choice over just outcome or some innate ability, is essential for persistence.
So giving kids feedback like, good try, your focus really paid off.
Leads to way better performance and resilience after failure, compared to just telling them they're smart. Effort is the input that you can control, and it guarantees you'll persist, no matter the temporary results.
Now, moving beyond short-term goals, ACT helps us align all that effort with our long-term direction using values. How are values different from goals?
Goals are destinations. You can achieve them, you can tick them off a list, you get the job, you get the diploma.
Done.
But values are chosen life directions. They answer the question, what sort of person do you want to be? They are motivational guides that are never completed.
So if my goal is to graduate medical school, the underlying value might be helping others.
Exactly. And that value is actionable right now, today. You don't need the diploma to act on the value of helping others.
And living that value, especially when it's scary or uncomfortable, is what ACT calls committed action.
That's the point where it all comes together. Committed action is behavior guided by your values, specifically in the face of fear or discomfort. If you're trying to write a book and your mind screams, "You're a fraud," you have to see that thought as just noise.
And take the value-guided action anyway.
You take the action. You don't wait to feel brave. You commit to the action regardless of the feeling.
And taking that committed action means we have to get good at spotting the mental habits that constantly try to pull us off course. This is where cognitive behavioral therapy gives us a really useful vocabulary, right?
It does. And just spotting these unhelpful thinking errors in real time is half the battle. We mentioned the mental filter earlier.
Right, the Jenny example. Gets a standing ovation for a presentation.
But fixates on the one single critical comment she got on a feedback form. That filter just screens out all the positive evidence to maintain a negative story.
Another really common one is emotional reasoning.
Oh, this one is so common and so deceptive. Emotional reasoning is taking your feelings as definitive evidence of truth. If you feel intense shame, you conclude, I must be a shameful person.
I feel hopeless, therefore the situation is impossible.
Exactly. Or in a relationship, I feel angry, therefore the other person must have intentionally done something bad. You mistake your internal emotional response for an objective fact about the world.
That's a huge distinction to make. And then there's a really sneaky one you mentioned, hindsight bias. It feels like control, but it's not.
Right. Hindsight bias is when you look back at a bad outcome, a market crash, a failed project, and you think, I should have known that was going to happen.
It gives you this false sense of control in the present. I missed the signs last time, but I'll spot them next time.
But it's a bias, because many bad things are genuinely unforeseeable. The process mindset counters this by getting us to accept uncertainty from the start, to recognize that good, reasonable actions can still lead to bad outcomes sometimes.
So once we start spotting these biases, how do we actively train our concentration to stay on the process right in front of us?
You have to treat concentration like a muscle. It has to be a deliberate decision. Sports psychology has some great tips here. First, start ridiculously small.
Just to build momentum.
Exactly. And track your success on the process, not the outcome. Give yourself a gold star for meditating for 5 minutes, not for achieving enlightenment.
You track the controllable effort.
Another powerful one is setting time limits. Tell yourself, I'll only work on this awful report for 20 minutes. It just lowers the mental resistance and forces you to concentrate on the action itself.
Because the goal becomes just doing the 20 minutes, not finishing the whole report.
Yes. And finally, use strategic self-talk to manage those internal distractions. Make sure it's instructional and positive. Focus on the breath, elbow tucked.
That helps prevent what you called snowball thinking.
It stops that chain reaction where one tiny mistake triggers an avalanche of negative thoughts about how incompetent you are.
What a fantastic synthesis. We've bridged Epictetus and the dichotomy of control with modern ACT and grounded it all with these strategies from elite athletes.
The takeaway is, I think, profoundly simple. True peace doesn't come from controlling the external world. It comes from radically accepting what you cannot change.
That's the Stoic anchor, the acceptance.
And then deliberately focusing all of your controllable effort on your internal actions and values.
The process mindset. Committed action.
That's it.
So let's end with that really beautiful metaphor you mentioned, the one about the ship and the demons, those unwanted thoughts and feelings that always show up when you try to steer toward a valued life.
Right. If you are unwilling to accept those demons, if you spend all your time fighting them or trying to get them to leave the ship, you just stay adrift at sea. You're paralyzed, going nowhere.
You sacrifice your direction just to avoid that internal discomfort.
But if you accept them as inevitable passengers and you just keep steering the ship toward your chosen, valued destination, well, the demons gradually lose their power over you. You learn to coexist with them.
So the choice, at the end of the day, is between a life of meaningful, value-driven action.
Or one of aimless drifting, always waiting for the fog of uncertainty to clear. The ship is yours to steer. Right now.